Hi, I'm Melissa Cobb. Come fly with AOPA, where I would like to wish all of our veterans a very happy Veterans Day. Thank you for your service and the sacrifices that you made for our freedoms that we enjoy today. All right, well, let's head to the Sonoran Desert for some glider aerobatics.
My name is Shad Colson. We're at the world famous Estrella Sailport, home of Arizona Soaring. Our glider school. We've been doing a little bit of glider flying this morning. To this day, could still not tell you how I heard about Arizona Soaring. Maybe it was a Facebook post or somebody else had flown here, and I was like, oh, I've always been interested in gliders. Grew up in Colorado Springs through the Air Force Academy, and they have a huge glider flying club slash operation there. So it's something I had seen, something I'd been interested in. Came and took a ride with the owner, Jason Stevens, and we went out and basically did what you and I did this morning, a little bit of just sightseeing and some aerobatics, and I was hooked. Just could not stop thinking about it. It captivated me. And so I emailed him in September, October that year, and just asked if I could come work for him for the winter. I was actually just working on the line, just running wings. And compared to what I was doing previously, it was super low stress, right? This is great. And here I am, ended up taking over in the office and ended up getting my commercial and then my CFI, and then still had that drive for the aerobatics, so I had been doing a lot of aerobatic training. Just something I'm passionate about. About 2 or 3 years ago, I started getting into competitive aerobatics. So I did my first competition down in Tucson. So I started doing some regional contests. Last year I went to nationals and won a national title at nationals. And so we actually hosted the nationals here for a couple of the categories in February, which is kind of cool. I got third this year, which is fine. You know, you don't win them all. It's a learning process. So, but did qualify for the national team. So now I'm on the U.S. Aerobatic national team, which is super, super cool. Super proud of that. And the owner, obviously, good pilot, he's on there. So there's 8 of us now that get to go to the Worlds in France and compete at the world level, which is super cool. You know, 1, to just be at that level, and 2, to go get to represent your country, right, on a world stage. It's pretty mind-boggling. I love it. Yeah, gets me out of bed in the morning. It's easy to come to work when you don't feel like you work. And I come and play with airplanes all day. So.
Well, that was Alicia Heron, our own content producer, who you saw in the front of that glider with Shad. So, Alicia, you are racking up all of the cool assignments. Tell me, what was it like flying aerobatics in a glider?
It was amazing. And as you said, Alyssa, I've gotten really lucky with some really amazing experiences recently. And glider aerobatics, you know, the way it feels in your body, it's very similar to other aerobatics. You know, the G's are the same, the way you fly the glider is the same as the way you fly an airplane, but the sensory experience is so different because there's not an engine. So as you're, you know, diving in to get your airspeed for a loop, the sound changes. You know, you're not wearing a headset, and then as you go through that loop and at the top, it's almost completely quiet, which was just so incredible and such an amazing experience. And you're getting rid of those G's at the top of the loop, and you're looking around, and it felt, you know, to me, like floating. It felt sort of how I imagine, you know, maybe even what going to space would be like. I know that that's a stretch, but just that experience of the quiet at the top of the loop and that incredible view was just amazing, and something I'll remember forever. And it was also such a privilege to be able to fly with somebody like Shad, who is this world-class aerobatic glider pilot and also is an instructor. And he was very, very kind and patient as I got to experience the very basics of glider flying with him.
Well, it looked like a lot of fun. I've gotten to do aerobatics in an L-39 and in a Citabria, and I can't even imagine doing it in a glider without power to add and just the quietness. And so it really just sounds amazing.
It is amazing, and the energy management that he has and that you need as a glider pilot is just incredible. And it felt so controlled and so stable. Coming from, you know, the world of powered aircraft, I was expecting to feel so nervous about our altitude and our energy and getting back to the airport. But he's such an experienced aviator that wasn't even a concern. And the way that it feels is it's so different from what I expected in a good way. And it's just a really wonderful flying experience, and I highly recommend it to anybody who has the chance to go fly gliders or take a glider ride.
Cool. Well, as always, thank you, Alicia, and I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you.
Well, airports like Estrella, where Arizona Soaring is based, are important to our aviation system. And this week, we have good news on the airports front. AOPA Digital Media Associate Editor Lillian Guile joins us from our Washington, D.C. office. It's just steps from the U.S. Capitol and the FAA, where our advocacy team spends so much time fighting for our freedom to fly. Lily, tell us about the good news we recently got on Detroit's Coleman A. Young Municipal Airport.
Thanks, Alyssa. Yeah, the locals call it City Airport, and recently it suffered from damaged infrastructure, neglect, and 2 closure threats. However, recently they got approval for millions of dollars in federal grants to make updates like new hangars, new control towers, reestablishing the infrastructure that it's currently missing.
Wow, that is wonderful news. So, how has AOPA been involved fighting for the airport?
AOPA's involvement has lasted since 2005 nearly. They've worked with city staff, officials, and different organizations like the Friends of Detroit Airport and the Coleman A. Young International Airport Education Association, along with our own AOPA Airport Network volunteer, Yul Kinsey. He works with the staff as well, along with AOPA, to make sure that he's there every step of the way to see these changes put into effect.
Oh, well, hey, thank you, Yul, and to all of our Airport Support Network volunteers for what you do to help keep our airports safe and open. So while our advocacy team fights to help keep our airports open, our Air Safety Institute works to give us the information and knowledge we need to operate safely at airports. And this week, our own AOPA Air Safety Institute Senior Vice President Richard McSpadden continues our series on collision avoidance. This week, he talks to us about using in-cockpit technology to get traffic information and help improve our situational awareness.
ADS-B is so valuable to help us be aware of traffic and then also to spot traffic. What I'd like to try to do is keep the scope, whatever it is, whether it's an iPad or an iPhone or maybe a scope that you've got inside your cockpit, up as high in your vision as possible without blocking the windscreen. If it's down on your knee, then you have to worry about transitioning down from your head upwards, whereas if you've got it up somewhere, the outside world is in your field of view as you're looking at the traffic, and it makes it easier to go from the traffic to try to spot it to the outside location.
Okay, so let's set up going into Carroll County. ADS-B so helpful way out here. We can see there's several people in the pattern, at least 3 people.
Coming into a non-towered airport, so first of all, we just have an awareness that that's where most of our mid-airs happen. So I want to get a feel before I even arrive if there's anybody in the pattern or anybody that's coming in from an arrival in one direction or another. And then of course you kind of combine that with your listening skills as you're coming in, listening to the radio and hearing for people call traffic. So you begin to map what you're hearing with the picture that you're building on your iPad or your ADS-B in-screen to what you're seeing outside your windscreen. And then another skill we can begin to build with the ADS-B traffic is beginning to draw a picture of where it is on our iPad and how that relates to what's outside on our screen. So for example, if it's 20 degrees right of us, right of our nose on our iPad, and it's 500 feet low, where is that in relationship to our dash and our panel and the whiskey compass that sits right in the middle of the dash? Over time, doing more and more of this, you can begin to build a picture for what those degrees are and how they relate to fixed pieces of equipment inside your cockpit.
That's about 3 to 4 miles.
Right down,
so we'll look and see. That's at our left, 11 o'clock, 2 miles, 900 feet above us. And there it is. So from here, just above this V bar, that's a good reference for me in the Super Cub is referencing that V bar. When they're in between the V bar and the canopy forward brace, it's about left 10 o'clock position.
There is a danger of staying too fixated on the iPad or this nice eye candy with all the devices and the computerized images because it is compelling. So we have to force ourselves to realize that's a tool and to incorporate it into the other tools that we have, which is of course listening, then most importantly our visual scan for how we're going to come into the pattern and what we actually see as a conflict. So it's really important as you come in that you begin to transition to where at some point when you enter the pattern, that ADS-B in is no longer a part of your scan. You're completely focused outside on flying your pattern and looking for different traffic in different directions.
Richard, thanks for sharing the techniques that you use. Well, for those of you who fly with Jeppesen flight planning products, you may have experienced a disruption over the weekend. The Boeing subsidiary suffered a cyber incident on November 2nd. Now, Boeing has told AOPA that they don't believe that it poses a threat to aircraft or to flight safety, and they're already reaching out to customers and regulators, and they're working to get full service restored as soon as possible. Well, if you've ever been to an AOPA event, you know they're a lot of fun. For those of you who haven't, our own senior video producer Josh Cochran takes you along to last weekend's AOPA Hangout in Tampa.
Come fly with us to the AOPA Hangout in Tampa. We're heading out from Frederick, Maryland on a beautiful fall morning.
We're flying down in this 836 Bonanza, so it should be a good trip.
Good trip.
Weather looks great.
I'm flying with my AOPA colleagues Kyle Lewis and Eric Blenderman, and we enjoy the beautiful fall colors as we head down south. After a couple hours of smooth sailing, we set up to land in Florence, South Carolina. We grab a quick bite at the Bird's Nest in Florence before heading off for another couple-hour leg. As we close in on Tampa Executive, it starts to get warmer and bumpier, and we take in the view of downtown Tampa in the distance. It's a warm but overall nice Friday afternoon in Tampa as pilots start to fly in. And there's a ton to do at the event. The static display gives companies a chance to show off their products like this Vashon Ranger and Icon A5. And the seminars are popular. Richard McSpadden has a full tent for his talk, offering 10 safety tips for pilots.
Fuel, fire, flight controls, and the reason is those items are the ones that are really going to hurt.
Right next door to the AOPA tent is renewing memberships and selling AOPA pilot gear. The airplane getting the most attention, the classy Howard 500. It's doing flyovers to kick off the STOL demo. The STOL demo always draws excitement from the crowd, and this weekend there's even a mostly stock Piper Cherokee flying in the demo, owned by Jeff Abrams.
I tell people a lot of times it's like taking the family sedan to a big race. It just shows people you can actually do something with the airplane. It will get off pretty short if you fly the airplane properly. It just kind of illustrates a different purpose. A lot of people think all you can do is operate out of a major airport, but it'll fly. I fly out of grass fields quite regularly, and the airplane does a good job.
After the STOL, there's evening entertainment and the chance to hang out with fellow aviators around the fire pits and watch the sunset. It's hard to find better camaraderie than in the camping area. Mark LaFoe is cooking bacon by his Mooney to share with his camping neighbors.
Him and I talked about, my buddy Troy and I talked about it a few months ago. And I seen it advertised, and I've always wanted to do an AOPA event. I thought it would be awesome and educational, and here I am.
The Michael family's camping nearby Mark. They brought a friend to the hangout in their Baron.
How's it been so far?
Great.
Guys?
I would say it's the best flying I've ever been to, and I've been coming to these since I was Colden's age, and it's my favorite. I think it included the kids with the fly-in movie, and the adults had a great time too. It's my favorite so far.
Awesome.
Later in the day Saturday, more visitors come out to the static display. There's another STOL demo and the opportunity to hear from AOPA President Mark Baker. He addresses issues facing GA, like FBO fee transparency, AOPA's efforts to grow and support the pilot population, and unleaded fuel.
But my belief is we need one drop on fuel that can satisfy all the engines across the spectrum, make it economic if possible, but make it available widely.
The event this weekend isn't drawing huge crowds, but there's no shortage of pilots here grateful for the opportunity to spend time together.
So it was a really good Saturday here at the Fly-In. Exhibitors are starting to pack up and people are starting to head out. But it's been a really good event. Got to meet some really cool people today. And I hope you'll join us for the next event. You can check out the 2023 event plan on our website, and we'll see you next time.
Josh, it looks like you had a lot of fun. What are some other AOPA events coming up that we should take note of?
Yeah, Alyssa, so the next AOPA event is actually coming up next Thursday. It's the Fort Worth Aviator Showcase, and it's kind of a close-knit in-person buying experience for airplane owners and prospective airplane owners to meet with some different general aviation companies. And then I'm really looking forward to 2023. The Buckeye Air Fair is the first event that AOPA is going to be involved with. There's going to be kind of an AOPA fly-in alongside the Buckeye Air Fair Air Show. So that should be a super fun event in February in Arizona.
All right, well, we're going to drop all the links to those events in our description so you can check them out, learn more, and mark your calendars. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Fly with AOPA. Please like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with all the aviation videos on our YouTube channel. And this week, we leave you with a special Veterans Day tribute. Footage of powerful fighters and bombers flying in formation during the 2020 Arsenal of Democracy flyover to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the end of World War II. Again, thank you to all of our veterans for all you have done for us. Now, be sure to send in your favorite flying videos at the link in the description. You just might see them on an upcoming show. And if you're not already an AOPA pilot, we'd love for you to join us. You can click the link at the end of this video. See you next week.